Good evening, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to the show once again. Sorry I missed you on Sunday. I was enjoying a rousing case of necrotizing fasciitis. Maybe we'll talk about that at some other time, or maybe we can talk about it tonight, depending on how things go. Who knows? Who knows? But in any event, thank you for joining me. Good to be here. It's good to be back to some semblance of normalcy with regards to the schedule of this stream. It's always fun. I enjoy it. So right now I'm looking at Discord trying to figure out why the hell... Oh, my mic is working. Weird. Apparently it wasn't working last time, but I did literally nothing to change what's going on. Like, any of my sound settings. And now it apparently works. Okay. Fair enough. Well, cool. So MCAT Discord, I am hopefully back online. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I want to share my screen. That's the one you want. Go live. Just no stream. There's the stream. Hello. You should be looking at Warhammer models. Very expensive Warhammer models. What's going on, y'all? Yay, you can see the Warhammer models now. Woo! Good. Yeah, I still haven't figured out how to just like straight up share my stream on that, but my screen, I know you can't see my beautiful face, but it's good enough. We'll take it. Yeah, anyway, so missed Sunday, like I said, for a big ass surgery, being on call and whatnot. That was actually a pretty tame call though, fortunately. That was nice. We only did 3 cases the whole time. That was one of them, and that case actually went like necrotizing fasciitis can be really bad and lead to some heinously long cases, but it was actually fairly tame. I think it was like 2 hours, but the patient was sick as hell. The windowed preview? What now? Then share the preview screen? Interesting. I actually don't know how to do that. What do I select to do windowed preview? And if I do that, will that screw up my stream? Look at you and your fancy ass screenshots on demand. What a guy. What a guy. Let's see. Yeah, still that actually I'm not smart enough to figure that out. Sorry. What? Windowed projector. Enable preview. Is that in view? Here, this is what... So I haven't updated OBS for a while. This is what it looks like for me. It seems like every time I update it, it breaks a bunch of shit, so... Where would that be? Let's see. Docs... Right click on the preview? This? Oh, tricky. And so which one did the windowed projector? Oh. Hey. Hey, alright. Well, I can do that. Sweet. That's pretty cool. Now I know. Now I know. We'll get rid of this weird 70s shit. Maybe. No, I don't want to get rid of that. I want to get rid of this. There we go. And then... Wow, this is what happens when you try to teach technology to old people. Window projector. Sweet. Oh, that's so cool. What a boss. Okay. Nice. Let's freaking go. Infinite Hal. Yes. Infinite me. Yes. Yes. Good. Good. So yeah, the topic of tonight's stream is inspired by our good friend Dr. Cheezel, who dropped the truism "time is money" last time, and I was like, yeah. In the context, as he was talking about how he's like, you know, ready to go. He's kind of, I get the impression he's kind of a powerhouse, sort of a workhorse, busts his balls to make a ton of money. And he was talking about how he's like always present, like when the patient's going to sleep, you know, in the operating room. And I was like, you know what? We should talk more about this. And he, like, I think the context was actually like what makes a good surgeon, and like promptness, timeliness. Those were efficiency. Those were things that came up. So yeah, thanks, Doc, if you're watching. Appreciate it. You have inspired me. Your assigned community service is to work with technology and old people. Well, you're very talented at it. I've always thought like the worst job ever would be tech support, man. Oh my god. That is the most frustrating shit ever. Because I can just like rage quit on my parents, right, when they call me, but if that's your job, you can't really do that. Dude, I feel older and older all the time. No lie. Like, I'm trying to go back to the gym. Like, I didn't go to the gym for months because of my kid. And just, like, generally being super tired because she never frickin' slept. And, I am so sore. It's so bad. Can't see my stream. Weak. I wonder if I have to have the actual windowed projector open. Maybe I do. If I move it over here, does it still work? Is that better? Maybe? I don't know, it looks different on my screen at least. Now it works. Wait, no. Maybe. It's white. Yeah, it's white for me too. Weird. Here, hang on. Maybe I have to have it on my main monitor? That seems weird. Does that work? We've paused this preview to save your resources. Now it's white again. God damn it. What the hell? So we've got this here. Does it work when I just have this? And I just kind of like have it up. And then if I actually go to the game, it goes away. That is really frustrating. I don't understand. Alright, so if I minimize it, it just goes away entirely. So that's probably not the play here, huh? Oh well, whatever. I'll just share my main screen and talk at you. It's good enough. It's good enough. I tried. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it honestly might be because I haven't updated OBS for, like, months. Like, 6 months, probably. It's alright. We'll do that. There we go. Go away, windowed projection. You are nothing to me. You're dead. You're dead to me. Okay, well, at least you can, like, my audio is working this time, even though I literally changed absolutely nothing. Didn't even update, like, I didn't even have a Windows update or anything. Changed absolutely nothing. I do not understand. That's okay. Oh, hang on. This needs to be here and minimized. So I can actually see my control panel in OBS. Cool. Rock on. Yeah, Diablo is going really well, if you're concerned about that sort of thing. This character is pretty well spec'd into what I want it to be, but I haven't, you know, there's some things like this that I don't have resources to put aspects on just yet, the aspect that I want. But yeah, I'm a Bone Spear, Corpse Explode, Necro, and it's going pretty well. And basically I'm just getting some renown at the moment, kind of trying to get extra upgrades and all that fun stuff that you do at the end of games. And I'm almost done. I've done one region. I'm totally done, gotten all the rewards, and I'm a dungeon away from finishing this one. So, let's go do a dungeon, shall we? Which one is the easiest to get to? I guess this one? Oh, I wonder if there's one that actually, like, benefits me, though. Probably not. Not that one. Rogue. Is this? That's Dry Steps, so I don't want to do that. Barb. Already looked at that. Druid. And that's Zarpazet. Okay. Cool, cool. Well, I guess I'll just pick something and roll on, baby. So which of these sounds coolest? Time is money, waste in the OR. Yes, absolutely. Is there a story? No. So I was talking earlier about last time when Dr. Cheezel was talking, like he was talking as I was dicking around with my friends, basically about what makes a good surgeon, and he mentioned that he said time is money, like in chat, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Like we should talk about like how much time is actually like freaking wasted in the OR. That's gonna be sort of the general thrust of my whole point, is like ways that we waste our time, patient's time, OR time. So shit, why don't we just get right into it then? Why not? Let's do it. So I'll sort of preface this by like, why do we care? Why does it really matter if we waste time? Well, it raises expenses, right? So beyond just being like inconvenient and shitty for everybody involved, you know, because you're at work longer, the patients wait longer, you know, things take longer, and that just sucks. Like when you're doing the same amount of work in a longer period of time, everybody gets unhappy. So that's, I mean, that's part of it. And realistically, like patient satisfaction, whether it's, you know, it's not a good metric for quality of care. In fact, there's been lots of evidence that patient satisfaction and care quality are inversely proportional most of the time, which I think is hilarious. But, you know, if you piss off all of your client base, you know, people aren't going to recommend you and they're not going to come back. So, you know, it is important for like long-term business strategy to at least be like kind of efficient and stick to what you're doing or what you're supposed to do. But like more than anything, it's just like it's better care to be on time, because if you push things later, there's lots and lots and lots of evidence that after hours care is worse for patients. It's worse care. I'm selling a bunch of Warhammer armies and somebody's getting back at me. But anyway, after hours care is worse care. That's the take-home message. And how does time get wasted in the OR? Well, that's a fantastic question. We should talk about that. God, this game is so loud. Every time I feel like I've kind of fixed the sound issue, it's just like and I feel like it's balanced pretty badly. If I have to make one complaint about this game, it's the sound mixing is not good. Like, why is this skill so freaking loud? But anyway, no sweat on all the adjustments. Well, I mean, it's frustrating to me because like I can't hear anything either. Like I've you know, I listen to my own streams to make sure that like it doesn't sound like utter trash. You know, I'm not looking for professional level production quality here, but at least gotta be listenable and watchable. But yeah, anyway, so places time gets wasted. So pretty much everywhere, right? There are lots and lots and lots of opportunities for time to be wasted. And so, you know, it costs patient care, but it also makes healthcare more expensive, because time in hospitals is very, very pricey. So time in an operating room sort of depends on who you ask, where you look, what case it is, you know, like what type of surgery they're having done, blah, 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 like how much the surgeon's paid, all that sort of stuff. Like it's a very multivariate sort of thing, but most places kind of hover around the number of $40 a minute to staff an operating room. Like, and that includes, you know, cost of materials and staffing and, you know, maintenance of the room and all that stuff, like everything. So $40 a minute. So if you have, say, and to use an example that we were talking about today, so the national average for a total hip replacement is like 90, I think it was 93 minutes. So if you take 93 minutes to do a hip, you're right on par, right? That's the expected time. Everything's cool. You know, that's easy to project profits on. But if you've got a surgeon who takes 4 hours or 240 minutes, that's what, so 160 extra minutes? So that's $6,400 extra dollars that just gone from that surgery, right? For room maintenance and all that sort of stuff. So do you think the hospital absorbs that cost? No, my friend. That gets passed on to insurance companies and then eventually to you, the consumer. So, like, slow is bad. And, you know, obviously that sort of thing takes years to trickle down and, like, you know, come to pass, but that's one reason that healthcare is expensive, is that we do waste a lot of time. And that is how it goes, exactly. So that's just one thing, right? There's lots and lots of ways that we just squander efficiency. So Dr. Cheezel was talking about, like, how he's always present, like, when the patient's going to sleep. He's ready to go. He's scrubbing in, you know, getting ready to do his surgery. Like, you know, he's on top of it. They call him, and he's ready to go. There are plenty of surgeons who are not that way. In fact, I would say most are not that way, in my experience. Even in the private practice world. They're, you know, off dicking around. They're in the lounge, you know, waiting for their PA to do everything. You know, they're just sort of kind of generally in the area, but not really, like, paying attention or involved in what's going on. And, you know, maybe they'll come and talk with the reps for a little while, or, you know, maybe see another patient, or, like, maybe it takes them a long time to get their history and physical done, so or come sign the consent, or come talk to the patient, or whatever. You know, there's lots of areas where that's, you know, done poorly. And it's not just surgeons. That also happens with anesthesia, too. There are lots of people who sandbag and just aren't on top of, you know, seeing people, and they delay cases and all that sort of thing. But in my experience, it is mostly surgeons that cause these delays. And not all surgeons, but there's, you know, like most things, there's like a few people who are kind of notorious for it at every institution, and it happens. It's just kind of how it goes. But, so OR time, $40 a minute. Pre-op time, which is something that a lot of people don't consider. Pre-op time is like $6 a minute. So it's still very expensive. You know, if you keep somebody waiting for an hour, you just lose $400, right? For nothing. And given that, you know, like, so for example, my hospital is, I would say a medium-sized hospital. It's like 200 beds, I think. We do probably like 150 to 200 cases a week. So that adds up really fast. You know, if you make 10% of your cases wait for an hour, which is probably an underestimate, I would guess, wait for an extra hour, then that's, what, $9,000 a week? So 450 grand a year? Like, these numbers add up really, really, really fast. And, you know, again, like, ultimately that money gets passed to consumers somehow. You know, it's always going to be kind of roundabout, but it comes back. And then, you know, you also run into things like pain control. You know, you, like, the longer somebody sits in pre-op and just kind of, like, sits there and stews, you know, maybe they've got, like, a broken hip or something, and you gotta give them pain medicine. And then you've gotta, like, manage the fact that they stop breathing or something like that. Who comes up with the numbers? Lots of people. This is, you know, healthcare is a multi-trillion-dollar business, so there's lots and lots and lots of people who are crunching these numbers. The ones that I usually look at are the ones done by clinicians. So, like, physicians who kind of know what they're looking for, who are few and far between, but they do exist. So these are, like, published in, like, medical journals and stuff. But yeah, there's much, much, much interest in, you know, optimizing these numbers, basically. Optimizing throughput and turnover and all of those sorts of things. So that's another, turnover between cases is another big one. So, you know, if you're keeping somebody out of the operating room for an hour, because you're taking your sweet-ass time setting up instruments and, you know, whatever else, whatever you need for the next patient, then, you know, $40 a minute. Just chalk it up. And, you know, you also, like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to cover everything in 2 hours. I mean, this is just, like, too huge of a topic. And this is part of the reason that I want to get into consulting, at least a little bit, because it's like, it's like double fisting sawed-off shotguns to the fish in the barrel. Like, managing efficiency in the OR is the easiest freaking thing ever, because so many people do it so badly. Like, even people who really try hard and are on top of it still do it badly. Like, we do pretty well overall, but there are so many places for improvement. Well, I'm glad you find it interesting. I think it's interesting, too. And part of why I think it's interesting is I just learned so little about the business of medicine through, like, all of my training. You know, I just knew nothing about this. And, like, you get into it, and you're like, wow, this could be so much better. We could do this so much better. So I'll give you an example from our hospital. So there is a policy, or at least was a policy. We were working on getting it changed. I never heard whether it did one way or another, because honestly it doesn't really matter, because they're not enforcing it either way. But anyway, the policy is that surgeons need to be in the room, in the operating room, within 10 minutes of the patient going to sleep. So why that number is not 0 minutes, I don't know. And that's what we're trying to get changed. Or were trying to get changed, assuming it did change. But we had 3 surgeons. Like, why are you not in the room when you know you have a surgery? Like, it's not like you're doing anything else, or at least you shouldn't be doing anything else, because that's possibly illegal, depending on what you're doing. But in any event, it is very bad patient care to leave somebody anesthetized unnecessarily. We got separated. So we had 3 surgeons who could not meet that benchmark more than 20% of the time. That is to say, they were not in the room within 10 minutes 4 out of 5 times, or more than 4 out of 5 times. And as far as I know, nothing came of that. It's just a number that we figured out, and, you know, nobody really does anything. But that's $400 a patient, right? At the $40 a minute mark. It's $400 a patient to billed directly to the patient. They just tack that onto their bill. And that's a more, you know, direct way that this actually gets passed to the consumer. And, you know, granted, insurance is going to pay that for the vast majority of people, like, if they have insurance. So, yeah, but nobody would ever know this, right? You would, if you were to look at your bill, you would have no idea, like, when your surgeon showed up. You would have to really dig deep. You'd have to request your medical records and know what you were looking for to even, like, you know, begin to try to figure that out. Because, like, if you get your anesthetic record and, you know, you see you were anesthetized at 10 o'clock and your surgery started at 10:45, you'd be like, what the fuck, man? Like, why were you not in there? But, again, you have to know to, you know, ask for that and know what to look for. And that's part of the reason why it doesn't change. Is there's, like, it requires too much knowledge for the consumer to know that something is amiss. Right, because surgeries do vary. Like, sometimes there's complications, sometimes they're just difficult. And, you know, that happens. It's fine. Like, the surgeon should not be penalized for that, in my opinion. Because how do you regulate that, really? You know, if you start, like, actively penalizing people for, you know, variable surgery times, that's kind of a slippery slope. But, you know, you can just, you know, get your surgeons better trained. I mean, for lack of a better way of putting it, like, if they're, you know, if you've got a guy doing 4-hour total hips, you can be like, hey, man, why don't you go and have this workshop and see what all of these people are doing differently? Because clearly there's something amiss here. Like, maybe you're not going to be doing 1.5-hour hips like everybody else, but it won't be 4 hours anymore. Maybe it'll be 2.5, you know, instead of 1.5. Just a thought. Time is money. Yeah, dude. This is inspired by you. So I'm glad you're here. Welcome. We're talking about efficiency in the OR. Yeah, when you said you were talking about what makes a good surgeon last stream, and said time is money, I was like, yes, it absolutely is. Oh, this is fucked up. Who is this? Devoted Champion, Grand Inquisitor. Let's kill the caster first. Sounds like a weakness policy to me. I mean, kinda. Hey, Doc, thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming back and contributing, as per usual. Reading certain books, you learn some folks familiar with the medical system would request having an attending over a resident. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of a double-edged sword, though, because, like, a lot of times in academics, you get somebody who hasn't been on the ball, you know? Like, we would get that in OB pretty frequently. And I'm like, dude, you really want, like, you really want my attending to do this? He hasn't done an epidural in, like, 3 months, but I did 100 last month alone. Like, but I would just be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Cool. Yeah, efficiency is definitely paramount. Yeah, the average consumer would be clueless. Yeah, for sure. Claim that shit. 4 Paragon points. Nice. But, yeah, I mean, I think it makes, given the current system, consumer ignorance makes our job easier. But in the long run, it would make our job way better if people understood, like, the pitfalls of the care they were getting. Because it would push administration to, like, actually enforce these policies that help things move through, if that makes sense. It might sort of put the squeeze on us to be, like, you know, kind of overly conservative practice-wise, which is not really a good thing. But, you you know, it would definitely, like, make the suits be like, huh, maybe we should do that. The orthosurgeon that was shot and killed? Are you talking about in Oklahoma somewhere? If so, yes. That was like maybe a couple months ago, right? And unfortunately, as for what hospitals and clinics can do to keep people safe, not much. I mean, if you're gonna, you know, if you're gonna bring a gun and shoot somebody, like, there's really not a lot that we can do about that. Alright, where is this? Skosglen. Let's get up here and side quest it up, baby. Do a full appy in 65 minutes. Nice. That's good. Yeah, see, this is what we're talking about here. So if you, I feel like there's kind of an ego thing with, like, a lot of just, I mean, I'm gonna say surgeons, because surgeons are the ones who do, like, procedures where the time is kind of, like, the most important. But this applies to anybody doing procedures, in my opinion. Like, whether you're an intensivist doing, like, bronchs or central lines, or an anesthesiologist doing, you know, like, a difficult intubation, or also line placement, things like that. Like, there's kind of an ego factor in it, that if you see somebody doing something, like, more efficiently than you, you're not gonna go and humble yourself and be like, hey man, like, how can I get my total hips from being 4 hours down to your 1 hour and a half? And, like, I see our outcomes are basically the same, so what are you doing differently? You know, like, what steps can I eliminate that will help me be more efficient? That very rarely happens in my experience. I have seen that once. And at where I trained at KU, they got a new liver team, and basically only retained one person from the old team, and he went to the new guys, and so the new team was doing liver transplants in 3 hours, which is just utterly insane. That's so fast, and their outcomes were great, and, like, their patients did super well. You know, they didn't lose a whole lot of blood. Like, Dr. Bing Bong, if you were watching this, you will learn how insane this is very soon. I did 2 liver transplants without giving any blood product at all, and there were at least 3 or 4 more. I did like 30 to 40 liver transplants, which is a lot for a resident. And I did 3 or 4 more where I give like 2 units of blood, just kind of because. So that is absolutely batshit crazy. So one of the dudes from the old group went to the new guys and was like, hey, I'm doing liver transplants in 10 hours, and you're doing them in 3 and having better outcomes. Teach me your ways. And he was still, like, the slowest of the group. He was still doing them in, like, 4 hours, but was dramatically improved. His patients did better. Rather have a 100% success rate than try to be fast and fuck up. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is all, it's all about, you know, maintaining quality of care. There's, being fast and sloppy gets you no points. How do they attach the blood supply to the new liver? Well, that's a really complicated question to answer, but the short version is they chop off the portal vein and the IVC of the old liver and then attach them to the new one. And that's basically what happens. But there are lots of different ways to do that, and that's actually the place where the new team saved most of their time, is in the reanastomosis of the vasculature. Yeah, carefully. Carefully is the answer, yeah. But yeah, just to make it clear again, I'm not talking about pure speed here, because we're talking about efficiency, right? We're talking about the same outcome in a quicker time. Like, fast is bullshit. We had a surgeon a while back who was very fast, but his infection rate and complication rate were huge. So that's not good either, right? Because if you reoperate on people, that's, you know, that's terrible patient care if that's your norm. kind of unfortunate that surgeons don't want to learn to be more efficient. Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a personality type thing, right? Like, I'd say medicine in general attracts people who are, like, you know, very me first, and surgery notoriously, you know, does so as well. And, you know, to be fair, like, I get it. Like, it's sort of annoying and humbling to go train for, you know, literally a decade to do something and then find out that you're not very good at it. Right? I mean, that sucks. And it takes a lot of pride swallowing to go to somebody and be like, hey man, I just need your help. I need you to teach me something. So, you know, like, fair enough. Like, that sucks, but it's, you know, we're talking about your patients here. Like, if you can avoid exposing them to a 4-hour anesthetic when 1.5 will do, and they get the same outcomes, then do it, you know? That's just better care. And it's cheaper, and it's just better all around. And you make more money as a surgeon. You know, you can have more cases in your day. Like, it's again, good for everybody. But yeah, it does not happen very often. I mean, maybe Dr. Cheezel has different experience, but it is not a common thing to see. Like, I think I get the impression that only assisted on 2 livers and the bisection of the falciform ligament is compromised by deadening. Oh no. You can just be better or more efficient? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, I know I personally, and I'm not afraid to admit that my desire to be better at what I do is primarily, like, selfishly motivated. Like, I want to be good at placing epidurals because I don't want to be awake for half an hour at 3 in the morning when I get called to put one in. Right? I want to be awake for 15 minutes when I get called to put one in. But that also comes with the, you know, nice bonus that my money per time increases, patient satisfaction increases, it's way easier, you know, overall to just, like, get it right the first time and not screw around. And, like, you know, anesthesia has very small, like, you know, kind of lightly skill-based procedures. You know, these are, like, all kind of one-step things that you do that are pretty easy to learn. Like, I'm not I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. Like, practice makes perfect, clearly, but, like, epidurals, central lines, arterial lines, you know, there's some tricks in the trade, but they're really very straightforward. I am not a talented proceduralist by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I'm sure I could be if I trained to do it, but I haven't. But I still, you know, try to shave time off. Like, I have all my shit ready, you know, before I'm gonna do whatever it is, whether it's a line or an epidural or, you know, who knows, whatever it is, whatever we're doing. I try to be as ready as possible. Like, I'm prepped, I'm there. Like, my goal always is to not be the slow part of anything. So, like, I'm gonna be waiting on you every time. That's like my everyday goal for every single thing that I do. Proficient procedurally, but shitty at teaching others. Yeah, well, I feel like I'm the same way. I don't have a lot of experience teaching. I mean, I teach, like, AA students, but I've never taught, like, at a high level. So, you know, it's pretty easy to teach, like, superficial stuff, and kind of teach some, like, basic tricks, but as for, like, challenging, you know, like a CA2 or CA3 or something, I got nothing. Anesthesia's gotten pretty efficient through a ton of research. Yeah, it has. It has. And, like, to a large extent, anesthesia is kind of like the efficiency specialty. Because we're the ones running the operating room board. I think that's pretty much universal. I may be wrong. I mean, I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure there's plenty of places where anesthesia does not run the operating room. But that's where it is. That's how it is most places. Imaging has helped that game? Yes. Yes, it has. Would I say I'm one of the best gas docs in the country? No. No, I would not say that. I would say I'm very efficient at what I do. And I try. Like, I try to be good. Because of all of the things that we were just talking about, right? It's better for me, it's better for patients, it's better for my group. Like, we look better when we provide better care. You know, like, everybody benefits from all of us individually being more efficient and better at what we do.
Not while I'm in town.
So, yeah, I mean, these are, and for some reason, a lot of these things are very difficult to communicate to people who don't have direct experience in the operating room. And in my experience, they're even difficult to communicate to surgeons, or some of the more opinionated surgeons. How's that? So I'll give you an example. So we are currently reworking block schedules, and because of that, we are also reworking surgeons' clinic schedules. Because we've kind of wound up in this situation where so you know how when you have like a big office building, and say that office expands, and then they expand again, or hospitals do this too, actually. So they keep expanding, and you end up with this like weird Frankenstein building where everything's just kind of like stuck on top of everything else, and like the flow sucks and it doesn't really make a lot of sense anymore. Well, that's how our OR block schedules and our clinic schedules are. So there's people who have like morning clinic and afternoon OR block, and vice versa, and then, you know, so we always have like one thing is delaying the other. So if somebody runs late in the OR, they push their clinic back, and patients get pissed off. And oh, hold on. No, bloody nose. Oh no, bloody nose alert. Hold that thought. Now I'm unmuted. Yeah, bloody nose emergency. Sorry, guys. Wi-Fi's crashing. That's no good. Okay, so yeah, so we were talking about Frankenstein call schedule, or sorry, block schedule. So I'll back up a second. Block scheduling is where it's like reserved time where a surgeon can schedule cases. And so basically everybody who like routinely operates at a hospital will have a block of some kind at some point. So ours are all screwed up. So what we're trying to do basically is organize everything so that surgeons have full days of clinic and full days of operating room, so they don't have to like travel or like go to different places or whatever. And it's just, speaking of efficiency, way more efficient because you don't have that downtime in the middle of the day, and you don't have to like figure out where the hell they are. And they don't have to, you know, commute and all that stuff. So it's just way better. And you know, there's kind of this like constant push. Everybody wants more time, more time, more time. And so, like, I actually kind of spearheaded this along with the OR director, and I rewrote the entire schedule with actually pretty minimal changes, and gave everybody more block time, gave them more clinic time, without changing like any actual hours, and it was great. And we got pushed back. Like, you were literally getting what you want. You were getting more time to operate at better hours. Like, especially what we're trying to do is eliminate afternoon OR blocks, because that's like somebody starting their day at noon really sucks for our schedule. So we were trying to get rid of that as much as possible. And like it went fairly well, but there were a few people who were just like, no, I don't want to change my clinic. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I've always done it this way. Like, well, yeah, but you're also scheduling 5 cases starting at noon every time you have this block. So if you had those cases scheduled at 7:30, then you'd be running until 2 instead of 7. Which, again, we talked about earlier, after-hours cases have more complications, it's worse patient care. Like, these are all well-described issues. So, again, better for everybody. You shove tissue in the nose and wait for the blood clot cascade. No, this one was, like, he actually had a scrape on his nose, and he just picked it open. It was no big deal, so I just put some antibacterial ointment on it.
My thanks, Wanderer. I cannot wait to visit my sister's bale.
Yep, triple antibiotic. That's exactly what I did. But yeah, it was actually just like on the outside, like on the halo of his nose. So yeah, our challenge is to get administration and surgeons and anesthesia all on the same page. And that is harder than it sounds like it might be. Because people don't like change, basically, even if it's good for them, kind of like I was just saying. It's almost like we're doctors. Yeah, exactly. Why do some docs not like Neosporin? I actually don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, wow. These are nice big ones. Not cracked or nothing.
Thanks, Wanderer. You're welcome. Alright, what else do I need to do here? Okay, I just gotta go over here. But yeah, it's very, like... It's really hard, because you have to kind of, like, get all of the pieces in line at the same time. Right, so we used to have this, like, our OR director was this, like, ex-military guy who was just a total hard-ass, like, to a fault. He was great at running the operating room, but he also just pissed people off constantly because he just said no and didn't give a fuck. Like, just hard tell these people no. And so the surgeons, actually, the ones who were, like, basically the worst offenders, more or less got him fired. Like, he made a misstep that I probably can't talk about, but they nailed him to the cross for it, and then he lost his job, then he went somewhere else. But they just, like, they took the opening because they didn't like being told no. You know, there are lots of people trying to schedule, like, elective cases after hours or on weekends, and like, we don't have the staff, the bandwidth to support that. And so he was telling these people no, like, categorically no, and they didn't like that. And they got him. They got him. So, yeah, part of the problem is that the hospital is afraid of losing surgeons, with good reason, because they're the ones who bring in the money for the hospital. One thing that we've kind of danced around throughout this whole talk is that operating rooms are by far the most profitable enterprise in a hospital. Like, the OR, like, basically the rest of the hospital is set up to provide cases for the procedural areas, specifically the OR, because that's what makes money. So if surgeons get mad and leave, the hospital freaks out and they lose money, and they don't want that because, you know, most hospitals, whether they're for profit or not, need cash, and they have a board full of people who understand bottom lines but don't really understand medicine. So you have to somehow tell these people that making surgeons mad to change policies and change how things work and enforce policies, enforce existing policies, is a good idea. Because you are going to ruffle some feathers, and you probably will lose some people. Like, especially if you try to make, like, sweeping change. Oh, I have. Oh, yeah, I guess I can compare them. Haha! When surgeries have complications, that also affects cost. Yeah, for sure. So that is the answer to that is complicated, and it kind of depends. So, I'm trying to think of a quick way to, like, run through the scenario. So a lot of surgeries anymore have what they call bundled payment, which is basically like the hospital makes X amount of money for removing a gallbladder or something. And Dr. Cheezel can tell me if I'm wrong about this. And I don't mean like gallbladder specifically, but like for surgery X. Like, you get $25,000 for doing this surgery, but that includes everything. That includes the equipment, that includes, you know, paying anesthesia, paying the surgeon, paying your staff, all of that stuff. So if you have a complication of that surgery, or if the surgery takes 10 hours or whatever, like, you get the same amount of money. And the complication, like, the return to the OR does not count. Like, you don't get reimbursed for that. Where it gets a little dicey is if the fix to the complication is a different surgery entirely. And you can run into that with, like, say somebody gets like a bowel obstruction after an appendectomy, or if somebody has like a back surgery on, I don't know, say like L3 through 5, but then they need a fusion from L1 through 3. They need to extend their fusion, that gets reimbursed. And there's lots of gray areas and lots of weird loopholes and just crazy shit that insurance companies do. So it's not quite that cut and dry, but that's at least kind of gives you an idea of how things work. So generally speaking, readmitting a patient to the hospital or bringing them back for, like, to fix something doesn't get reimbursed. But again, that's not universally true. So, I wish I could give you a better answer than that, but there's not one really. Without, like, getting into billing codes and all sorts of ridiculous, like, insurance thing. And it probably varies by provider too, actually, now that I think about it. Varies by insurance provider. But yeah, so that's another thing is, you know, in all of this drive for efficiency, like I was saying, you can't compromise patient care, because then you really start to eat it if you have more complications, right? Like, obviously, for the patient's sake, you don't want to have complications, but also for the monetary sake, like, that's a bad thing. So there's kind of always this, like, razor's edge of balancing, like, you know, how quickly can we push these surgeries through? How quickly can we discharge this patient from the hospital? You know, how fast can we do XYZ? Like, does this person really need to stay 2 days after having a baby, or can they just do, like, 1 day and go home? You know, because, again, with bundled payments, you just sort of like lose the resources that you spend on having that person in the hospital an extra day. And being in the hospital longer comes with its own set of complications. Like, there's a bunch of fucked up germs in a hospital that aren't elsewhere, and you know, there's always a risk for like falls and whatever else. But if you send somebody home too early, they might bounce back and have to come back in and get readmitted. You don't get money for that either. Dance of budgetary foresight at first, and then the batch is closed once variability is reported. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, it's all sort of a and it's dynamic too, you know, like as technology changes and techniques change, like surgical techniques. You know, people like you don't need to stay in the hospital after you have a total knee all the time. Like healthy people who have total knees, they go home the same day. There's plenty of outpatient centers doing total knee replacements where patients go home that afternoon. Like they'll sit in the recovery room, they have a physical therapist come in and like do their first round of PT, and they kick them out. And then you also introduce patient factors. Like that's not going to work. Somebody who weighs 300 pounds and is a diabetic and gets a total knee for some reason, you know, slips through the screening cracks and actually has that procedure done. Like they're not going to be able to go home. But somebody who's a marathon runner who just like straight up wore their knees out, then maybe they can. What am I doing here? Take a root cutting from the underroot. Oh. Ew. Where do I go for that, pray tell? Have to go down there? Oh, I do have to go down there. Certain procedures must be pushed for more than by hospitals for profitability? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. So everybody wants orthopedics. Generally speaking, orthopedics is like kind of a huge, like probably the moneymaker for most places. Because if you've got a bunch of good surgeons, good efficient surgeons, you crank through those cases and they pay very well. And most of the time, the patients having like total joints theoretically are on the healthier side. General surgery is also up there. So if you've got a lot of like hernia repairs and gallbladders and appies and things like that, and you've got efficient surgeons, you can crank that shit through and it makes a ton of money. Yeah, so Cheezel, exactly, yeah. That's why our boy be driving a Porsche, man. He's living large. But yeah, you also, so the operating room is not like necessarily purely profit. There's also a lot of things. So like, generally speaking, heart programs don't really make hospitals money. Like heart surgeries do pay a lot, but you can't do a ton of them. Like even a fast surgeon can really only do like 3 a day. And those patients are sick, they require long hospital stays, lots of resources, you know, the ICU for a couple days, yada yada yada. You know, they bounce back frequently, all of that. Where the hospital makes money is it's like cachet, right? It sounds cool. Everybody's like, oh, it's a heart program, I can go here for my heart surgery. But there's a ton of testing, a ton of follow-up, you know, so that generates a lot of clinic visits and all sorts of like ancillary services and stuff get used for these patients. Transplant services, same way, same deal. Like the transplant itself, generally not like, you know, a profitable thing, but it's all the other shit that goes into it, and all the clinic visits, all the follow-up. That's what they're after. So it's not usually as easy as just like, you know, do surgery, get money. Though that is a big part of it. flatter, dude proves curve. Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that one. That's hilarious. Where they're like standing on like two sides of a lake. He's like, watch this, we're gonna prove that the Earth's flat. And he's like, wait a second. That's pretty good shit. If anybody has that video, send that. We'll watch it. Oh shit. I'm full of stuff. I'm full of goodies. I gotta get out of here. Yeah, link that video if you have it. Hey, Hillfather, what's up, dude? Just, talking about why healthcare is so freaking expensive and grinding my way through some renown. How's life for you, man? Let's see. Armor vendor. Do you want my stuff? You can have it. Yep. Interesting. 33 strength, huh? Ooh, lose a lot of essence, though. Do you gain Decrepify? Maybe I'll have to get that. Life on Kill is pretty sexy, though, huh? Interesting. Yeah, I probably gotta wear that, right? How do I explain the globular shape of Earth? Well, that has a whole lot to do with operating room mechanics, doesn't it? Whoa, that has life on kill as a implicit, huh? Hmm. I don't know if I... Ugh. Alright, I'll just go ahead and get rid of that. Pulling the plug. What are my pants currently? Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I'm not getting rid of those. Damage reduction, total armor. Oh, well. I could be convinced, I suppose. What's the implicit here? Potion restores 20% resource. Oh, man. Okay, that's pretty cool. Well, I'll be keeping that. Got a job offer? UAB, huh? Well, what do you think, man? I never know, like, I don't plan on leaving my job. It's pretty awesome, honestly. I really like my job. But, like, I have recruiters up my ass constantly to do locums work and stuff. And I mean, some of it is just ludicrously profitable. Because we live in flyover country and nobody wants to work here out in the boonies. So, you know, there are some places offering like $450 an hour for locums jobs. Like, plus bonuses and, you know, all your costs and stuff. And I know it's 1099 work, but it's still, like, that's an outrageous amount of money. Plus, it's, yeah, being in Alabama is a very big strike against that job, that's for sure. That does sound very bad. Oh, but I have 2 ranks of corpse explosion out here. I don't know, that is kind of my main skill. Maybe I'll just keep that instead of switching to it. Decisions. Now let's get up there. Yeah, and moving sucks, dude. I feel you. What's wrong with Alabama? It's like hot and one of the poorest states in the union, man. That's what's wrong with it. Open! There we go. Put all my gems away. The craziest waste of time in an OR? Oh, I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, I mentioned the, like, I don't know what you'd call it, the metrics that they had, where, you know, the surgeon had 10 minutes, has 10 minutes to get there after induction of anesthesia, which I think is just absolutely ludicrous. They should just be standing there. Like, why are you not there? You have a case. But yeah, the the worst offender was there 12% of the time. That's pretty bad. We've had a so we have recently started working with IR a lot more. Yeah, waiting on consults is bad. But yeah, we started working with interventional radiology a lot more. I realize that most people don't know what IR is if you haven't actually like been through it. Oh shit, I actually have a dungeon to finish instead of just doing that quest. Interesting. Okay. But yeah, we had one of my partner's mother-in-laws was in IR, and it's sort of their MO to go and, like, they'll get a patient in a room, and while, you know, they're kind of, like, the staff is sort of, like, prepping that patient, like, they're getting everything, like, sterilely prepped and draped and stuff, the IR doc will go and do something else, like, go do a different procedure and just, like, bounce between rooms that way. But, unfortunately, they're not super efficient at doing that. And so one of my partner's mother-in-laws, who is very sick, very, very sick, was left anesthetized, sitting on the table for, like, almost an hour. And I was staffing that case, and I was like, hey man, just so you know, your mother-in-law's been in there for a long-ass time, and the IR guy's not in there. And he was like, I will go have a word with him right now. Yeah, that is not cool. Armor rack. Okay. Let's see. In residency, I had a patient waiting anesthetized for an hour and a half once. That was fun. Because the surgeon had a meeting that he just sort of conveniently didn't mention to anybody because he didn't want to lose his spot. He didn't want to lose the spot that they'd scheduled him in, so he just didn't tell anyone that he had a meeting, like, including his own team. So, like, his PA's in there, like, waiting for him, like, patient's anesthetized, and this was also a very sick patient. And I'm just, like, chilling in the room, and he shows up, like, after 9 o'clock for 7:30 start, and we're all like, what the fuck, man? What are you doing? Waiting on nurses for sponge reloads. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, that's not cool. So things that we like, more common problems that we have are basically surgeons thinking they're a lot faster than they are. And they'll have, like, they'll call patients down to the pre-op area, and, you know, the patient will sit there for 4 hours. That happens. I would say we have a 3+ hour wait out of our 150 to 200 cases a week. There's somebody that waits there for 3 or more hours, probably like 5 to 10 times a week. Just because of bad scheduling. And that's real shitty. That is a terrible way to treat people. And, as mentioned, is expensive. You know, it's $6 a minute that just gets, like, added onto their bill for no reason. It also really pisses people off. You know, you don't want to be sitting in this sort of, like, loud, open area where you can't go anywhere, you can't eat, you can't do anything for, you know, just until somebody decides to come and get you, basically. What do you do in the meantime? Just chat? Yeah, I mean, just fuck around. Like, if somebody's anesthetized in the room, you can't leave them. You know, so, like, functionally for anesthesia, it's the same as if there's a surgery going on in terms of, like, our demands. You know, we still have to monitor the patient and fix shit that goes wrong and all that. And anesthesia is not good for you, as it turns out. It's actually really bad for you. So, like, the less of it you get, the better. And, you know, these, like, old, frail people, you give them an extra hour of anesthesia, like, you might have bought them an extra day in the hospital for delirium, you know? It takes a long time to clear that stuff. Ah, gonna die, gonna die. It's okay. You come here. Stop doing that shit. Can you play on your phone? Well, I mean, I think, like, so I don't have to scrub. Anesthesia doesn't scrub. So scrubbing refers to, like, cleaning your hands so that they're as sterile as possible. We don't do that. Like, you just have to wear, you know, surgical attire. You wear scrubs. Good gosh darn, what is going on, dude? How are you? But yeah, you are not, quote, scrubbed in. But yeah, like, a lot of times, if there's, like, a huge wait, the scrub tech will scrub out. They'll just kind of, like, go do something else, get some shit ready, then, you know, not worry about it, and then they'll scrub back in when it's time to go. But if you have no idea when the surgeon's coming, you know, it's tough to make that call. At least at first, you know? Like, you wait for 15, 20 minutes, and you're like, surely they're coming, right? Surely they'll be here. Nope. Surprise. But yeah, there have been some pretty egregious infractions of time appropriateness in my... 20 months in a row! Holy shit, dude. Thank you for the sub. It's raining cash tonight. That's 2 whole subs. Did you believe that shit? Unreal. Guys. Oh, man. I feel like I've hit it big. I have hit the big time. But yeah, so by contrast, there are many surgeons that I work with. I would say most of them, thank God for private practice, most of the surgeons I work with are very conscientious. They're there, they're on the spot, they're ready to go, they've seen their patients. You know, they're like pushing people to go faster, which sometimes is really annoying, but overall is a good thing. You know, they're ready to go, they're prompt, they're efficient, their surgeries take an appropriate amount of time. Like, everything is cool. And that's how it should be, right? You know, everybody fucks up, everybody has, like, complications and bad days, whatever. But, you know, when that is the exception to the rule, that's fine. That's okay, because everybody knows that there's just, you know, shit's going down, and it's gonna be okay. That's just the name of the game. But, again, if you're the 4-hour total hip guy versus a 1.5-hour total hip guy, then, you know, there's a problem. Something needs to change. Sacred pants. Ah, yeah. I love some pants being sacred. How does one prime sub? There you go. from computer. One prime sub. Computer does sub. You have to be an Amazon Prime member, though, by the way. Am I enjoying D4? You know, I am, but I sort of see that enjoyment wall, like, rushing at me. Because, like, this is... I feel like I'm progressing and, like, doing something right now. So I'm just sort of, like, grinding the, so, you know, each, like, area has its, like, rewards that you get for each thing. So I'm just grinding through those right now. So I'm actually, like, fairly rapidly improving my character. But I feel like once that's done, I'm basically gonna just be able to, like, go around and do world events and nightmare dungeons. And, like, go to the Whispering Tree, you know, do all of these quests and stuff for credit there. And I don't know how long that's gonna hold my attention. Because that's just, like, pure grind, basically. This, I'm actually, like, doing side quests and, you know, kind of learning getting new content and stuff like that. But after that, it's just, like, killing monsters over and over and over and over with no real, like, end-game goal. Yeah, I think I'll probably... I don't even know that I'll make it to 65, honestly. But I'll be somewhere in that neighborhood. Because I finished 2 regions, and I'm like almost done with all of the remaining 3. I think I'm on the last reward. Or no, maybe I'm not. Maybe I have 2 rewards to do for the last 3. So I don't have like a ton of content to do, but yeah, I mean, I see a lot of potential for sure, and I understand that, you know, they're gonna, you know, do all of these seasons and stuff, and presumably the in-game is gonna change a lot with time. But as for right now, it's, you know, it's not really something, I just don't have the time to do that, frankly, to just like grind out a character. I'd rather do something else. 65 years old felt really bad for me, but generally, don't people who say that I'm not gonna make, like, who are younger and say I'm not gonna make it that old, they generally live pretty hard, right? Once you get legendary aspects, the only thing to shoot for is sacred and ancestral pieces. Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't even have any of the, what are they, sigils? Yeah, I don't have any sigils yet. Where are those sacred pants? What do we got here? 13% chance to ignore direct damage from distant enemies? Wow, that's pretty good. I have barrier active fairly often. Interesting. Sigils. Do I have... I don't think I have any sigils. I thought sigils were the things that, actually, no, I guess I don't know what sigils are. Now that you mention it. Maybe I should know that. I feel like I'm pretty far through the game to not know what a major piece of it is. Oh, yeah, that's it lets you, yeah, that's the Nightmare Dungeon stuff. That's right. Yep. I did find one of those. I found my first one maybe yesterday, actually. No, I think about it. They're in your consumable tab? Okay. I think I use it, and I don't remember, like, which dungeon it made. It made a nightmare dungeon. Oops. That's not what I wanted. Yeah, I did use one of those. What's that? Recutting? Nice. Destroy the egg cluster. But yeah, this is definitely, I mean, it's, D4 is definitely been worth the purchase, for sure. Worth the purchase price, 100%. Ah, yeah, you craft them with the occultist. Okay. Well, I will do that. I don't want to run away! There we go. Almost accidentally subbed trying to figure out how to prime sub. That would have been a catastrophe. But yeah, seriously, take Amazon's money, not your own. If you have the option. Don't. Don't do that. Let's see, did I finish the dungeon? I guess I did. Ooh, a resplendent chest. Let's get out. Get out of this bitch. Oh. Alright. Where do I need to go now? Let's go up there. Oh my god. Killing me. Yes. You don't see the prime sub. Let's see. So it should be... actually. Maybe I can't see it on mine. Usually it's here. Gift a sub. I'm not giving any of you goons a sub. So I never actually looked at this. I didn't realize I could do any of this. So I have to pay to give people subscriptions to my own stream? What? Really? Okay. Fair enough. Oh yeah, I think actually... Check this out. Does it still work? There you go. I knew I put that command in there for some reason. I don't think anybody has ever used that. Like literally nobody has ever used that command. So happy to be the first. Oh, okay. Fair enough. He hasn't linked it, it won't work. Fair enough. Where do I need to go? Return to Keeper? Allbard. Where is he? All the way over there? The fuck? Okay, well, we're gonna go up there. Because I don't want to be teleporting all over the place. Ride my horse! Oh, you guys and your submissions.
Not while I'm in town.
Not while I'm in town. Oops. So yeah, I think we pretty well covered everything that I had in mind for operating room efficiency. I mean, you can get way, way more in depth into it, but like the problem, so I guess I lied. So the big problem with reforming a lot of the issues that happen in an operating room that aren't good is that nobody outside of the operating room really understands that they're even going on. And so, like, I used the example of, like, my hospital's policy that a surgeon has to be in the room within 10 minutes of the patient going to sleep. So, to most people, that sounds pretty reasonable, right? Like, if you told, you know, a board member who's, you know, presumably like a business person or something and really doesn't have any medical experience, if you said, oh, well, they've got to be there within 10 minutes of the patient going to sleep. But, you know, there are all these other things that need to be done. Like, the patient's got to be prepped and positioned and all of these, you know, all of that. They'd be like, oh, yeah, well, that seems okay. But that doesn't account for the fact that there's a lot of time before the patient goes to sleep for the surgeon to show up. You know, there's at least, like, 10 minutes. And most of the time the surgeon has to, like, be there to make certain calls. You know, say, like, I want this piece of equipment, or I want this position, or whatever. You know, that it's not a hands-off kind of thing, purely, until the patient's, like, 100% ready to go. Like, the surgeon can be there helping do stuff, and, you know, even helping with intubation. Like, you know, holding stuff, or doing, you know, being an extra set of hands. And if they don't meet that 10-minute benchmark, then your patient's just, like, sitting there on the table. But nobody would understand that. And there's also things like, when you're trying to go up, so we cover, like, a certain amount of sites of service. And if they want to add a site of service, they're like, well, you just need to hire one person, right? Because there's one site of service, you just hire a person. Like, well, it's not that easy, right? So you have to take the whole thing as a whole. Maybe you have a prime trial? I don't know. I don't know how prime interacts with that. But yeah, so you can't just say, like, we have 15 sites of service. We want to add a 16th. Therefore, you need to hire one more person. Because, like, in reality, it probably works out pretty closely to that. But you have to account for the new person's vacation. You know, the fact that they're going to be in, like, a call rotation. All of these different things that come to pass. Like, for instance, we've been needing, like, nighttime PACU nurse, like recovery nurse, since I've been there. The call is, like, basically the primary reason that most of our nurses leave, because it's terrible. And they all say that, and they have said that for 7 years, the 7 years I've been there, and it hasn't changed. So I'm not really, like, you know, this isn't a secret. It's not like something that I need to keep quiet. Everybody has said this for years. And that, it sounds like you would need 2 people, right? So there's 7 nights, and these, like, 2 nurses would alternate 12s, right? So you'd work 48 one week and 36 the next, and just switch off, right? But those people need vacation. So you need at least 3. You need at least 3 nurses, and probably 4. Because generally speaking, nurses don't particularly like working 48-hour weeks, so you might not be able to get away with that. You probably have to do 3 people doing 36s, and then a 4th, and, like, rotate them through, and then a 4th person for vacation. But to a bean counter, it doesn't sound like that's the case, right? Because they don't really understand how those things work. And that's not really even, like, a medicine-specific thing. That's just kind of, like, life. That's just a staffing issue. But there are tons of little things like that that you run into. Like, anesthesia bills differently than everybody else. So every other, like, I think literally every other specialty bills based on RVUs, something called RVUs. Whereas anesthesia bases their billing on, like, what kind of amounts to, like, billable hours, sort of. So, like, everything has like, every procedure that you do has a base value, and then you get, like, a point for each 15-minute block of care that you provide. So, like, for instance, on-bypass heart surgery has a base of 20. So you get 20 units, 20 anesthesia units for that. And each unit has, like, an amount that you're reimbursed for. So say it's, like, $100, which it's not, but, you know, we can't talk exact things, and they're different for everybody anyway. But, so say it's $100. So you get $2,000 for just starting that surgery. And then for every 15 minutes, you get an additional unit. But that is not how other billing works. But it's really, really difficult to communicate that. Like, you basically have to have this conversation with a bunch of people who don't understand what the hell you're talking about. And you have to, like, break it down and give them the gory details. Because most of the time when you're talking about these things, everybody's trying to hash out, like, exact costs. And they want to know exactly what it's going to cost them to do certain things. So, you have to be very exacting and use some pretty, you know, ironclad examples, but basically talk stall until that can happen. And there are so many things that are that way. And so that disconnect between administration and, like, real life function of the hospital in general and the OR in particular is very real and very tough to get around. So we have tried to circumvent that by having like a regular meeting, like committee meeting between administrators, surgeons, and anesthesia. It's like, I've forgotten what the name of the committee is called, but it's basically where everybody can kind of get together and, like, talk through how things are going, so we don't have to have these, like, giant, like, head bashing meetings, you know, whenever, like, contract time comes up or something. what stupid things are my administrators doing lately? Nothing, actually. So our administrators are now largely medical doctors, but they are new at their current positions, and so they're trying to sort of figure out exactly where we're coming from, which is awesome. So our administration is great. I feel like they're really kind of trying to figure out like how to work with our group, because historically our group was owned by a guy who was sort of a like old school cutthroat businessman and just kept everything super close to the vest, would never let them see our books. You know, there's a lot of like animosity and mistrust between the two sides, and they kind of like, you know, they dealt with each other because we got what we wanted and they got good anesthesia service. And so, you know, there was never like a real huge push for them to be super like worried about what we were doing, you know, because like we were fulfilling all their needs like basically without question, and they just didn't, you know, didn't feel like you know, fighting that fight, honestly. But he retired, and so now things are very different and a lot more transparent, and we're easier to work with, I think. And you know, basically we're trying to be a little bit more like collegial and helpful. Yeah, the RNG of this job is insane, and I totally crapped into this job. Like, they sort of, I was an overhire for sure. Like, the guy that I spoke about who previously owned the practice, like, basically just wanted to stop taking call, and so he just hired me. And, like, nobody else in the group knew that they were hiring. He was just like, yep, I own this group, I don't want to take call, I'm gonna hire this guy. So he did. I was like, okay. I was the last person in my class to get a job by far. Like, I had sort of like a verbal agreement that I was going to get this job in, I want to say like early March or something, but I didn't sign a contract until like the beginning of May. And as we all know, if there's no contract, there's no job. So I was sweating that real hard. I was looking into like doing locums jobs and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it's worked out very, very well. But yeah, two of our chief medical officer and our CEO, actually newly appointed CEO, are both physicians. And they're cool guys. They've worked at the hospital for a long time. Very nice guys, very reasonable. You know, they have an ear to the ground. They know what's going on. So, yeah, I'm extremely happy with that setup. And I feel like they're like they recognize that like our OR is as a whole doing very well. There, as discussed, there are plenty of opportunities for improvement, but like we're doing well, and they understand that if they give us what we need, we will continue to do well, and like stability is in everybody's best interest. So that's another thing that we should probably talk about while we're talking about efficiency. A lot of places do not place the value on stability that they really should. We get a lot of so it's very easy to look at a dollar sign and be like, oh, you guys figured it out. Thank you for following. The fuck? Well, thanks for following for 3 years or however long it's been. Oh man. But yeah, if you have people who work well together and are familiar with the system and know all the ins and outs, then your operation will be much more efficient and much more successful. But again, it's easy to look at the price tag for, like, you know, kind of maybe paying people above market value, and say, no, I don't want to do that because it's above market value, and it's just a nurse. They're just a nurse, right? Well, they're a nurse who everybody likes and who is efficient and works well and who does a good job and gets her shit done, like, you want to pay that person. You know, you want to pay these people to stay. Well, I think he just followed. I'm not sure he got it taken care of here. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna break for a second. Linking. I mean, use the link that good gosh darn sent. No, that's not what I wanted to do. So, copy link address. Boop. Back, had a call. Dr. Cheezel already did a colon resection, and then he came back to join us. So what I was, the point I was just making is that one of the things that leads to efficiency in an operating room is familiarity and chemistry, and like employee retention, basically. But I feel like that is an underrated aspect of like any discussions that administration have. Like, I think they want retention for the sake of just not having to fuck with hiring people. But what sort of... Oh, do I have the sound overlapping? No, it's just a weird song. Okay. But yeah, they don't want the headache, but what they're missing is that those people are valuable. You know, like, you're losing valuable employees who do a good job. And so maybe it's worth, you know, overpaying these people. Like, so what if you're paying them 20% over market value? Like, if they produce 80% more than a typical employee, who gives a fuck? Like, that's still a bargain. And that's not really considered most of the time. I mean, I think it would be in some cases. Like, especially if that person, you know, went and bitched and, like, got an army behind them. But, you know, overall, they're not going out of their way to retain employees. Which I think is foolish. Very foolish. Because it costs a lot more to replace people and pay temp workers and all of that stuff than it does to just pay the people you have a little bit more than you think you should and just be done with it, right? Like, because those people aren't going to go anywhere. They know your system. They know everything to be done. They know the surgeons and all their quirks. You know, they, you know the physical layout of the hospital. They can go get a patient wherever, you know, you need them to go. And those things are worth a lot. That's valuable. Got nurses fired because they ruin a vibe? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're abrasive to the team, you're impeding flow. And just like anything else, like delays, you know, like stagnant care, it's bad care. You know, it's worse patient care. And then it's, you know, again, we go through this cycle. It's more expensive, it's harder, and all of that cost ultimately just gets passed down to the, you know, consumer, the patient. Travel to the shaman's lair. Where would that be? Is that a different quest, I guess? Yeah, it's a different quest. Okay. Leave the dungeon. Oh, wait a second. I didn't finish that. What the deuce? Where am I supposed to go? It sucked when that nurse was a cunt. Yeah, I mean, if you're really that, like, you know, that abrasive, like, see you later, man. There's no saving that. Flip over the blizzard or your next one's free. How do you bring up, say that they didn't flip over your blizzard and not be caring about it? I don't think you do, dude. If you're gonna fight somebody for a free blizzard at Dairy Queen, I think you've already lost that battle. You are a Karen. I mean, but you'll have a free blizzard though, so you know it might be worth it. blizzards do. Those things. Oh my god. They're so good. When I was a pharmacy tech, there was a Dairy Queen run by this, like, very stereotypically Jewish grandma. And we would go there every now and then and get blizzards for the crew. It was awesome. Just call it out to a manager. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm sure they don't really give a shit, because it basically just, they just have to make another blizzard, right? It's not that big of a deal. Oh, I'd had a boss in here. No wonder. Just like randomly have a boss in here that I didn't kill. What's up, dude? Spirit Caller of Squalls. I can't, I feel too much like a Karen. Well, you know, that's up to you. There we go. Let's get out of here. You're employed, so can I get a free blizzard? I know, that's pretty beastly, man. That's pretty beastly. I really hope that the guy making your blizzard is like 15 years old and has like super bad acne. And is like 6'5", maybe weighs 100 pounds. Basically like the most awkward teenager you can possibly imagine. You call out his blizzard fail and he just goes, oh. That would really make my day. I'm playing the scenario in my head and I really like it. I really like it a lot. Throw in some expletive tones, exactly. Oh man. Yeah, if you felt like, yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. Like, if you're gonna do this, I think you gotta go balls to the wall, man. You gotta get, like, real pissed off that they didn't flip your blizzard over. Like, just suddenly turn into, like, a huge dick bag. Start yelling at everybody. Poor kid making $10 an hour, I know, man. He's just trying to buy his Pokemon cards, guys. Lay off. He doesn't want to make that blizzard any more than you want to call him out on it. God, $10 an hour. Yeah, when I was a pharmacy tech, I made $9 an hour for a while. Until I figured out that you could get, like, certified in it and, like, literally double that. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll do that. Cliff Sunder. No. Rare pants. I'll take that and that. Working at Publix and make 16? Yeah, I mean, the times there are changing. This was 20 years ago, I have to remember. Which is ridiculous to say. $10 an hour wiping old people ass. Something tells me that is not worth it. Unless you just enjoy old people ass. I don't know. Maybe that, you know. Everybody's got their thing. Oh, you know what? I need to sell all my shit. $11. Oh, well, that's totally different. Winning. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, dude, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to play the game. That's how it goes. Yeah, I was a patient transporter, and the people in charge took it way too seriously. You know, they were like very OCD people, and would like tell me certain ways that I needed to like transport people. And there was this like cart, you know, because I was at the like Missouri's biggest safety net hospital, which, you know, you get the like sickest, fattest, most terrible patients possible there who like never have taken care of themselves and all of that. But they had this like giant, like, I mean, it was basically like a golf cart that they just drove indoors. Like a gator. It was a gator that they drove inside. Danny, what's up, man? Long time no see. Welcome back. So I actually enjoy transporting too, but I just thought it was really funny that the people in charge were like so gung-ho about it. Like super weird people. And I was also like, at the same time, I was like, if you're so particular about this, why are you a patient transporter, like professionally? Couldn't you like get your shit in order and like do whatever you want? Why are you here? I mean, like, these people had like all this stuff squared away, and like, I don't get me wrong, like, I appreciate being good at your job and, you know, like doing everything you can to like optimize things, but it just seems like you would kind of like rise out of that if that was your personality type. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You resubbed? Hell yeah! Didn't see that. Actually, I don't think it's did that come through? No, I don't think I got an alert for that. Bummer. Well, thank you for the resub. Said he wanted to be a patient transporter for the rest of his life. Some people are just like that. Yeah. Yeah, no, I like one of our anesthesia techs. She was good at it. You know, she's a good tech, conscientious, smart person. She was just like, yeah, I'm happy with this lifestyle. I was like, okay. That's fine. Me, I like expensive shit. And a lot of it. So, I put myself through lots of school. Was it worth it? Probably, but I'm not 100% on that. Adventurer's pants of deflecting barrier. So this is like a basically like hardcore chastity belt, huh? Generous at $15 an hour. Fueled by death passive. Damn, that's kind of a sick amulet. What is mine? Corpse skills. Oh, yeah. Well, I kind of got to keep that. Ooh, I should go change that, change that mod on there. Assuming that I have the goods to do so, which I'm not certain I do. We'll find out. Yep. It's my alarm telling me to raid somebody, which I don't know that I'm gonna do. I do not want to imprint an aspect or extract. I want to enchant. Oh, but I don't have any Forgotten Souls. How do I get Forgotten Souls? Found during the Helltide. Okay, guess I'm gonna go into some Helltides. Rock on. Yeah, I don't know how people can get by on 15 an hour. Like, I think about that every time I have some sort of, like, you know, shit break or whatever. Like, when our furnace breaks or, you know, car trouble or whatever. Like, dude, if I made $15 an hour, that's like a month worth of take-home pay. Literally, that just went to that. Like, our furnace, so not too long ago, we had a gas leak outside, because I have a grill and a fireplace and a couple lights that actually are, like, the house gas line goes to it, and there was a leak in the pipe, and so obviously you gotta get that shit fixed, like, ASAP. And it was like $1,400. You know, so that's what, 90 hours of work at $15 an hour? And so you take, what, tax bracket at that point is probably 25% or something? So that's 3 weeks of work. Just gone. Totally gone. But as it is now, that's probably maybe a day. Which I can absorb. You know, it's so nice, God. It sounds really, like, elitist, but, man, it's so nice to just be able to write a check for that and not have to worry about it. That is why y'all are getting the education that you're getting. Like, the job is great, helping people's pretty cool, but, you know, money doesn't solve a lot of you know, it doesn't cure all your problems, but it sure as hell doesn't hurt. Tell you that. Look at that bare minimum life roll. Shit. That's rough, dude. So let's see. Let's get rid of... Did I want to keep these pants? Yes. Or... Oh, no. Did I sell the good pants? Oh, no. I got rid of the good pants. Fuck. Oh, well. I probably wasn't going to use them anyway. Realistically speaking. Alright. Off I go. Keep those pants. Oh, I found a really good pair of pants that I was, like, almost going to... switch to, but then I didn't, and I apparently sold them, and now they're gone forever, so fuck me. Oh well. Oh no, I put them here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna use that. This I will though. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, 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 boop. Probably need another stash tab. 200,000? Sure. Money doesn't buy happiness, but you can't frown on a jet ski. It's, it's so true. It's so true. Money would solve 95% of your problems. It does, though, right? It totally does.
What music, renoun?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's super nice to just be able to be like, oh, $1,000, that sucks, and just write the check and move on with your life, right? Like, it doesn't, you know, require any like financial rearrangement or anything. It's just, you know, it sucks. Like, I can't do that a whole lot, but like when life throws you lemons, you're just kind of like, okay, I can absorb that.
Our tree was raised from a cutting such as this. It'll graft nicely and refresh her for another age.
Crazy druids. Ooh, what'd you give me? Murmuring obols. Let's do it. Tour Dulra, cranking out these side quests, man. Yeah, if you guys ever lose track of why you're subjecting yourself to the, you know, decade-long ass pounding that is medical education, don't forget that there are certain documents linked in the resource section of Discord that might be very, very useful and interesting to you, that I may have gotten a copyright strike for having. A carnivore and keto diet? I think, I don't know actually what the carnivore diet is, but, like, keto diet is, like, doesn't make any sense. Like, why, you don't want to put your body in ketosis. That's bad. And when you come out of it, you're gonna pack on fat, because your body's like, holy shit, I was starving. And so all of the, like, sugar, basically, that you get and don't immediately use goes to fat. Going to any restaurant and just ordering whatever, amen, dude. Absolutely. Yeah, if I want to go to a restaurant and spend like $400, which, by the way, good gosh darn made possible, and I will totally freaking do that one of these days when my life stabilizes. It's awesome. It's so nice to be like, you know what? I just want to have a nice night out, and I'm going to do that. Carnivore diet, you can eat red meat, poultry, fish, and eggs. Excludes all produce, as well as grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Damn, dude. Like, you want to talk about shitting a brick. Oh my god. Like, what do you just, like, poop once a month or something? You have to get tongs in there to extract it? Whoever says money doesn't buy happiness has never been poor. That is true. Yeah, money does buy a lot of happiness. I agree with you. It goes a long way. It's not perfect, but it goes a long way. And I certainly have never been poor, but I was decidedly middle class growing up, with 2 art teacher parents and a giant house that they couldn't afford. Like a giant family home that they had no business being in, honestly. So, I never wanted for anything, but we definitely did not have a lot of disposable income. What am I doing? That's what I want. Find the Woodwraith bark. Alright, Woodwraith bark, let's go. Carnivore does not sound fun. That seems like a really bad idea. Hungry fat chick has been losing weight on it? Well, so is she just gonna be the hungry chick now? Or the hungry plump chick? Hungry slightly overweight chick. You're not passing on much to your kids. I am undecided on that. I'm not sure how that's gonna go. Like, I'm gonna have a hell of a retirement, but I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. I mean, I feel like I'm probably going to spend most of it. Or at least, like, have it tied up in assets, like, generating cash, you know, until the day I die. I feel like I'm playing, like, a real-time, or real-life RTS game or something. You know, where it's, you just, like, build structures, and you build and build and build, and accumulate wealth, and then the game ends, and then what happens? Yeah, about the financial strain stuff, yeah, it sucks. I lived there for a while. Like, we almost lost our house a couple times. Which, again, was a gigantic house, and, you know, if we had to sell it off, we would have been fine, but that was very stressful for, you know, mini Alex. You don't want them to be responsible for a cash grab? What am I looking for? Woodwraith bark. Okay. Where is it? Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I see myself investing in a lot of, like, stuff that generates passive income. So, honestly, I'll probably have a lot of assets, like, to pass on. You know, buildings and shit. Like, probably real estate. I don't think I'll just, like, you know, be like, oh, I'm in really shitty health. I'm gonna sell off all these buildings and have this cash that I'm not gonna pass on to my kids. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work. Hey, Cheezel, thanks for coming out, dude. Always appreciate you being here. Also, thanks for the sub. Have a good one. I've awoken the rune stones.
They're humming again. I can
Feel the life force surging.
Let us not waste a moment. Help me wake up the runestone and restore Turadonga.
Hell yeah. Let's wake it up, baby. Oh, look at my... Oh my. I'm doing some Marilyn Monroe stuff here.
Last step. The power of the stones lingers with you. Touch the runestone and awaken them all to complete the ritual.
Elon said that you have kids, you absolutely will be happy. No, I would not agree with that. That's not at all. That is not a determinant of happiness, in my opinion.
You've reawakened this place.
Like, I love my kids,
Can
for
you
sure,
feel
but
the magic
they
flowing again?
complicate everything.
It's all you're doing. Isn't it beautiful? You've breathed new life into our order. Our druids
Real estate's the best vehicle for passing on wealth, yeah, for sure.
those that survive.
It's also, like, one of the most, like, the way everything's kind of set up, from what I understand, it's, like, once you have the cash to get into that market, then you're set up for,
The fiery
you know,
spirits that one
to grow your wealth very quickly.
down from the challenge. Not even when Astaroth came. I bade her not go. Please.
Help her move on. You can't do this yourself? No, I'm gonna be nice. Return to Moriak? Is that him? Yep. Wait a second. Can I go around this way? Yeah, this is only one place I have to get off my horse. So I will do that. Yeah, there is some talk about like the ability to do the 1031 thing where you like roll the sale price of a property into the purchase of another one without capital gains tax. There's some talk of that going away apparently, but as far as I'm aware, that has not happened yet.
Mix the ingredients up, and I'll keep her steady.
Foster in the future and see what parenting is like. I mean, that's kind of like extreme parenting though most of the time, right? You're just sort of like helicopter dropped into it, which I guess you kind of are with real parenting. Well, real parenting too, but for maximum essence. Hell yeah. Another 8 maximum essence of requirements are met. Okay. Fair enough. Wait, does willpower give you essence? No, it doesn't. Silly. Wait. Didn't I just... Oh. Bearfa? His bear is named Bearfa? Okay.
Prevail on this
This is not very creative.
if I can. Their first injuries were made with a blade. Help me search where I found her, and maybe we can find the perpetrators and exact justice.
Meet her way down there somewhere. Alright, well, I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. I'm disgusting, so I need to shower before I go to sleep. Oh, man. Well, thank you guys all for the subs. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Y'all take it easy. I will see you Sunday. But then after that, I'm going to miss the next 2 for Comic-Con. I will be at freaking Comic-Con in San Diego, and it's going to be awesome. So yeah, I'll see you Sunday. Y'all have a good week. Take it easy. See you in Discord. Don't forget Discord. Peace out.